iGinity is a proud sponsor of I Am Angus. For more information, visit iGinity.com.
Denver is on the intersection of the South Platte River and Cherry Creek, and the Stockyards is right on the edge of that. So you had water running through here, and similarly, Denver became a major railroad hub, running trains through, and the Stockyards is right, in those days, was right on 3 main lines. And the Denver Union Stockyards Company was majority owned by railroads out of Chicago, as were the auction in Chicago and Omaha and every place else. And they owned the cattle markets, not because they were that interested in the cattle business, but because they wanted to control the shipping business for their trains. And in the Stockyards in Denver, why, of course, now there's just one little railroad track kind of lonely running through the yards, but in those days there were many lines and many sidings, and they were bringing in and unloading train loads of cattle 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The Denver Stockyards would be very crowded, huge crowds of people, cattle owners, commission firm men, order buyers, newspaper reporters, and this was a major buzz, just like you were located at the New York Stock Exchange or some other central trading point. There was the 7-story Swift plant and a 9-story Armour plant, and Cudahy had a plant here, and Friar Stillman had a plant here, the largest locally owned plant, and they came on the market to the commission firms here in the building to buy cattle every day. And the cattle would march across big major ramps out of the stockyards straight into their plant. My first times here would have been in the early 1950s. My grandfather, H.E. Green of Greeley, Colorado, would bring me here. He would of course, watch the market, because the big board is right here where we're standing, that had a guy on a green eye shade sitting on a high stool, would post the prices with chalk as they would come over the teletype, which was on a pedestal right next to the board. And that guy had a green eye shade, and his job was to read the telegraph deal and then post the prices on the board. And he had garters to hold his shirt sleeves up. But I mean, he was a colorful character. The trend-setting market, because of the time difference, was in Chicago, because Denver was an hour behind Chicago, and the big price swings tended to occur in Chicago, and if they moved more than 1 or 2%, why, immediately it would set off shock waves through all the cattle trading. And in those days, you didn't have the heavy futures trading we have today through the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and so the cash market was everything. Well, this entire historic building, the Livestock Exchange building, was loaded with little offices of cattle traders, commission firms, and the commission traders would stay in touch with their customers, both the ranch customers who owned the cattle and the order buyers, which largely came out of the packing companies, and there were 4 major packing companies around the Denver stockyards. Market information was in a real dearth in those days. Nowadays, you can get you a machine on your desk, be within 17 minutes of what's going on the trade. But in those days, that kind of information wasn't available, and that's what the commission firms really banked on, was having the market information nobody else had. And that's what was available here in the building. And until the late 50s, when the central market and the stockyards kind of collapsed, the National Western Stock Show was really just a sideline of the Denver Union Stockyards Company. And every year they cleaned out the pens and put on a stock show. And so then the formalization of the stock show as a separate freestanding entity really became crucial as the railroads withdrew their support from the central markets, and the central markets, in essence, closed down. And that left the National Western as one of the few shows that still was tied to a stockyards and surviving, because there is no show in Chicago, there is no show in Omaha, and those stockyards are largely either gone or in the process of being gone.